Yes, a lot of people is curious about Adoldaboth. Who's Adoldaboth? Or the Demiurge. If you ever heard that saying, it's kind of deep. The Demiurge, or what we would call the Creator, is actually, our God, or whatever you want to call it, Jehovah. It's a deep story, and it's a long, long ago story too. I'm talking pre-Bible. That if you've been following me, I tell you, the Bible basically is just a copy of the Jewish or Hebrew mystical books, and they just made more moralized version of it by putting morals in it, taking out the magic and the divination and all that stuff, and just make it into miracles. And so that's where you get your Bible from. Look at it like this: from the last age that we know nothing about to this age that we're currently in, the difference is magic. Magic is still here, but we're being governed not to use it by the government. And we can't tap into it because all sources and traces of it is gone. So we get this overlay of a magical, mystical world in our world. We have it mostly in dreams. Some people could see it. Well, the truth of the fact is, when you look at the story of what we call the Creator, you're talking about somebody that sacrificed himself to give us life. Or, when you're looking at the omnipotent, the omnipresent, and the omniscience of it, you're talking about a mind that first become conscious of itself. Then once it does, it starts a series of algorithms to create itself. And one of them is, self-implosion into self-imploding to create a solar system that we exist in. And that's the story of Enlil. And the story of Murdoch. And it's also our Ra, and Dorf is caught up in that story too. So we looking at now different versions of the same cosmology, where we pick up in the beginning, and this water and some spirit hovering over the abyss. It's like everything was there already and preset. So it just took what was there and created what it wanted to create. That's why, like, for instance, you don't hear them say, like, human beings was created out of some magical force, or he took the air and the water and the dirt, and those things right there is the key words. You see, if you had to create air, you had to create dirt, you had to create water. Those was already in creation already. So he didn't do it like you think it was some magical thing and he just did it. He took what was already there and put it into a form for himself that's suitable of his image. So think of what you was prior to being in that form and image. That means you would have been air, dirt, water, the four elements. All right, so now that you're being trapped inside a body, you're stuck in there. Or you're stuck in yourself, but you're not yourself. So just like you're confined to gravity and the ground, you're confined in your body to the principles and laws of inertia. And so now, on that note, you're in your body and you're warring, just like everybody's warring out on the streets and in different countries. You have peace within yourself like you have it in some countries. There's always activities happen, hurricanes, storms, emotions, feelings. All these is a reflection from the outer to the inner. You're looking at forces with two major forces, the external world and the inner you pushing on your body, your skin, your shell. And all this now builds up into a giant, big yin-yang symbol of dark and light, good and bad. You the line in between. You understand? But in it, we like to hover on either the dark side or the light side. Let's bring this around 360 degrees. So now that you understand the reality is basically an easy concept and a mathematical problem, it is a creation. So now it's a creation. Who's the creator and what's the purpose or what's this whole idea of what it was trying to do? Well, only records you have of this is in old hieroglyphic writings, and especially in what we call Gnostics. Gnostic religion left the biggest trail for us to follow because it actually left you the story of what's called the Demiurge, Adoldaboth. And that story is saying that who we call the Creator is not literally the word creator today. Back then, the word for creator was Demiurge. It's a Greek word. And Demiurge meant like a trickster, a charlatan, somebody who could pull a fast one on you. So today's word for creator didn't mean creator back then. It meant like somebody who was an illusionist, a wizard. But today we look at it as creators. Oh, our Father, He created everything. It's very specific, the words they use. You got to know the difference between, what they mean by creator. That's like discovered. They discovered America and the people on it. You get it? So now, this creator, what is it? How is it this Demiurge? Well, from now Gnostic writings and it being found in the caves of the Nag Hammadi and Qumran. Nag Hammadi gave us the Nag Hammadi documents. Qumran gave us the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls is really the only real record of the biblical stories preserved by a group of blacks called the Essenes that lived in Qumran in the caves. Well, they ran to the caves to go hide and to continue their life because this is the time when Hellenism started in Egypt with Rome first taking over and then the Greeks coming in and Hellenizing into a Greco-Roman country everywhere. Africa, the whole India, the whole Egypt, every continent, everywhere in the world was under Greco-Roman ruling. And so a Hellenization started to take place. And with this Hellenization, the actual people of the land started running, seeking out to preserve their culture. They wasn't running from the Hellenization. They didn't want to mix. Nobody wanted to mix. So the greatest stories you heard of the non-mixing is like in the Maccabees. You read the story of Maccabees. They wasn't no joke. The Maccabees held it down for maybe 300 years before somebody took them. I'm not going to say the actuality of it because it's all caught up in a lot of falseness and truth and dates that's wrong. But I'm just telling you that everybody was not agreeing with Hellenism or organizing and setting up one religion such as Islam, Muslim, Christianity, whichever one you want to call it, Buddhism, which is all the same scapegoat. The original people wasn't going for it. It was pushed onto them. So now, a lot of them, when they scattered, they ran up into the hills and the caves to preserve the ancient teachings. And all of them was preserving the Egyptian teachings of the past. That's what it was. And so when you see like the Bible, today's Bible, and you hear like the Nag Hammadi text and the Dead Sea Scrolls, those is actual Coptic writing. Coptic is actually Egyptian writing. Coptic is a set of Greek Egyptians. This is later on Hellenism, Egyptians that stood at the temples of Alexandria. So you got to realize that's what, when you're talking about Coptic or Gnostic writings, Gnostic is another word for Coptic. You're actually talking Egyptian writings and just codified to make y'all think it's something else. So all of those books now and those lost scrolls that was refound, they started to translate them and they started hearing these stories about there's two creators. Just like there was two prophets. You have the good priest and the bad priest. This is in the book of, what is it? I forgot. It's in the Dead Sea Scroll, but I don't know the exact book it's in. I don't want to say it wrong. It'll come to me probably before I get to my destination. But now, you see, that right there told a story about the good priest and the lying priest. And they're telling that the good priest got his head chopped off in the beginning of the book. And we lived under the lying priest, the one that's a liar and a cheat. And so he went on to go take the covenant and did everything. This is just in the Coptic books how it goes. And we went on living on them. So it organizes and matches to John the Baptist was the original one. And you got now Jesus coming and taking his place. Now, the reason why this holds some type of validity is like, I got into the story real quick, and the story is simple to make you understandable. you got Jesus. Jesus come from a line of kings. He only could go as a king. So for him to be a king, it can't be no Hellenism. No. It can't be no Hellenism. He only could be a king if there's only a ruling high priest. He rules under a high priest. But if an emperor is ruling, he cannot rule. So who's the high priestess? Jonathan, Ananus, and Cyphus. So Cyphus being an Egyptian, you could say, when he's in charge, then Jesus will be the king. But if you got Jonathan and Ananus, who's now as high priest, a Roman person will be the king, so Herod will be the king. So that's why Herod represented. But the David line, that Storth line, Amenhotep, they was waiting for them to relinquish their relationship with Rome and all them places and become back a single Egyptian place. So by Jesus not following the rules, he broke the laws because he wanted to be a high priest and a king. Now, the high priest is all a higher initiate under the Ammon family. Ammon, Aaron, same thing. You understand? So you had to be an Aaron or Ammon to be able to be a high priest. That's why you see Zechariah in the New Testament is actually given the Passover or whatever, and everybody's waiting for him because he still was related to that Ammon family. And he got the right to be high priest. Next in line would be his son, John the Baptist, high priest. So when you see John the Baptist doing all that, make way, kingdom of heaven is coming and all that, this is because of the simple fact that he was a high priest from the high priest family of the Ammon and was able to do that. Even Jesus went there to go get baptized. So he couldn't be a high priest. He was a king. And so when there's a part in there when he tells them that you're supposed to be the lamb that's here to take away the sins of everybody. He was not saying that in a good way or announcing him to the world. He was saying in a rhetorical, sarcastic way that this dude think he's going to take away everybody's sin. Look, everybody, this dude is here. As a joke, they was playing him. So that's what that meant. It did not mean it. And to verify this, you remember now, later on, when John get locked up, the word goes out that, there's somebody out there going around baptizing just like you, doing everything you're doing. He even got apostles. And he was like, yeah, ask him if is he the one to come. So if he knew that was the one and he was supposed to have said all that, like that's God's son, you would have heard the part that he would not ask that question. He wasn't sure himself. So that's why he asked him that question. Now, if you want to get specific, in those parts of that book, it says that, you know that Jesus is over there. He's taking your apostles too, just like you. He's having apostles just like you, and he took yours. He took Andrew and this other one. He takes all the John the Baptist's apostles. Now, this gets more deeper and interesting because you know me, I tell you, I do this research for real. So, what wound up making it kind of strange and kind of ironic is you follow yes, brother, how you doing? When you following, who's following Jesus around, it's a bunch of women. And you got Mary Magdalene, Mary, Herodotus, and Salome. Who's Salome? Salome is Herod's daughter. A very, 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 very faithful follower of the Christ. Wherever he go, he's there. She's even at his crucifixion. Everything, wherever he went there. And they actually said that they supported him, financially supported him in the book, I think, when they speak upon him when he goes to them places, that's who take care of him. So anyways, now that it's established, Salome is there and is a supporter, that's their political party. They're part of one political system. You understand? And so now they're waiting and they want to get rid of John the Baptist because he's on the other political party. You got to understand what's going on here. In this, John the Baptist, he represents Elijah. If you go back to Elijah wears the fur and he wears the honey. He eats the honey and the grasshoppers. The same features of Elijah is what John the Baptist have. So they're telling you he's the reincarnation of of Elijah, or basically he's a Hermetic one. He's one of the purple ones. a royal one. You understand what I'm saying? So he starts off by doing what the purples used to do, the indigos, and that is to cleanse this world of all its motherfucking desires. And so that's what he was going about doing. So now when he gets knocked and locked up, you would think, being that that's a cousin, and you didn't know that they're both cousins, Zechariah and the David family is one. They cousins and whatnot. So that's Jesus' cousin. So when he hear his man is locked up, you know what he go do? He goes to run to the river and open up shop and start saying, make way, the kingdom of heaven is here. So he go take his position instead of go checking up on him. You understand what I'm saying? He never went to go check up on him, see what he's doing. He just went and took his position, and then he start taking all of the He start taking all of the disciples one by one till he took them all. He never had disciples. If you follow the story of when John sent a message of, are you the one to come? And then on top of it, he doesn't answer. He just says some smart remark. So right there, he put himself to get hanged by the laws and numbers, by the Deuteronomical laws. Yeah, you're supposed to get crucified on a tree if you try to play both positions of king or prophet. It's just, priest. This was just how it's written in the Deuteronomical law. Now, this is not all real stuff. I'm just telling you the biblical story and sticking to it so that y'all could get the whole story. Because nobody really went in depth with it and go really see what happened. I know it from many angles, so I'm just breaking it down. So now, when you look at it all, Salome now for her birthday have the party. And her father asks her, what do you want for your birthday? What do she say? The head of John the Baptist. That seals Jesus' position as priest king. You get it? He knocked off his own cousin to make that happen. It's a conspiracy. How you know it's a conspiracy? Remember now, when Jesus get trialed and he goes to court, he goes see Pontius Pilate or whatever, he washes his hand and sent him to Herod. Go read those scriptures and you will see that he was happy. Herod was happy to see him. They broke bread, they ate. They're the same political party. Them two. You understand? They not against each other. They both represented the same thing. So that was one thing that was why it was kind of a special moment. So he let him go and let the high priest and them deal with it, and they dealt with it by the Deuteronomical laws. They dealt with it right. If you want to read it, go to Deuteronomy and read what happened to be crucified on a tree. Just Google that and you see that he broke the law, and that's what happened. So there's nothing weird or strange about it, and you can't say that, no, Jesus came here for our sins, because even when now he went to the Garden of Gethsemane, where he left his two dumb-wit disciples, he went by himself and he went to go meditate, and when he went to meditate, he's like, yo, Father, why have you forsaken me? I don't want to die. I don't want to go through this. And he's like, you got to go through it. Even when he was hanging on the cross, he said, why do you forsake me, Father? You lied to me. The Demiurg. This whole thing been a setup to y'all, man. They've been tricking us all along. We never really read the story, else you could have seen and read between the lines to understand what's going on. It's just that if you just let people tell you it, they set it up. They have to tell the truth, but you have to read it to know the truth. So this is the beginning of Demiurge. This is like getting kind of long, so I'm going to put it in part 2. The second part to keep it going, but we're going into the Gnostics and how they left the records of what the Demiurge is and how it came. I just want you to understand that. University of Conscious Science. One love.